Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a beautiful evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from for episode number 510 of the Star Chamber Show. Shout out to the great band Far Cry for our intro. I love to give shout outs to them from time to time and their fearless leader, Pete Fry. Great guy, and great people. So yeah, it's always grateful for our intro music that we've had for so long. And in the chat room, it's open and hopping already and coming in just in the right before. I'll have to mention the second place here, but it's Carol Preflatish was first into the chat room, award-winning author, screenwriter, and I might mention she has a brand new novel out this week, Avalanche. Coyote Canyon Mystery. That's right. She got a brand new mystery novel out this week, and the cover is gorgeous. And I can tell you, I've read it. It's really, really good. And the second place was very close with Mallory Fain. That's a new listener who I have not seen in the chat room yet. And so welcome, Mallory. It's great to see you, and got some familiar names coming in here, including that KB Carlisle fellow. He's kind of like the neighborhood cat. You just can't get rid of him. More on KB later. But and Amy McCorkle, I see, is coming in. A lot of good folks. Yeah, it's going to be a great show tonight. And yeah, we've got a heck of a guest for you tonight. And very timely, too. A guest with a brand new project. But you're going to hear more about that in our guest segment coming up in just a bit. Of course, the Star Chamber Show is affiliated with the Imaginarium Convention. And so we keep you up to date on all things going on. And I'm going to have to start the updates right away because we got a lot of them for you, folks. Because, yeah, we announced the first wave of film festival entries just 2 days ago. And so, yeah, we'll make sure we get that on the show. We had a great new guest announced just before the show, and we had a brand new Imaginator guest also announced this week. And then we had some more great new programming just added. So let me get through it all for you. And here you go. So as far as new programming goes, this past last few days, we have added a couple new workshops and a new panel. As far as the new workshops, one is presented by guest of honor Scott Sigler. Of course, he is New York Times bestselling thriller author. Of course, has one of the longest running, most successful writing podcasts out there, and he is our guest of honor this year, along with Heather Graham. And he's got he could be presenting one called Horror Comedy, adding levity to the darkness. And of course, that is exactly what it says in its title, explains it all. Don't want to miss that one. Then we have The Art of Co-Writing, presented by KL Bone. It's all about co-writing projects. And KL is a USA Today best-selling author. And then, as if that's not enough, we have a new panel added called Horrific Sci-Fi. And this one will be moderated by Scott Sigler. And it addresses the science fiction world. And of course, you're thinking about movies or properties like Alien, The Blob, The Thing, things that use horror elements and blend them with science fiction. So yeah, you definitely want to check that one out too. That's going to be a great one. But yeah, coupled with Scott Sigler, our guest of honor. Super cool stuff. We also announced award-winning filmmaker, actor, artist, SFX artist, writer, and former pro wrestler Ronnie Jonah as a spotlighted guest, which is super awesome. Ronnie, she has the distinction of being partnered with in a tag team and also being the manager of The Miz's last appearance on OVW Wrestling, a TV appearance before he got called up to WWE. So a lot of wrestling stories there. So I know Dewan Hearn will be very excited about that one. But yeah, she is part of Kentucky Creature Effects, great Hollywood caliber special effects house here in Kentucky. And yeah, she's coming to Imaginarium. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And then we also, before the show, announced that literary agent and USA Today bestselling author Rose Betancourt will be coming as a spotlighted guest. So, yes, another literary agent will be attending Imaginarium. We've got several coming. And of course, I know a lot of folks look forward to being able to pitch projects in person, all that kind of good stuff, and learn about the world of querying and literary agents. Well, we've got another superb guest for you, and she is the principal agent of Betancourt Literary, and of course, is the owner of the agency. So, yeah, she'll be coming to Imaginarium as well. And then, and last but not least, on the guest announcements, and this is a big one. Yes, we have another Imaginator. Award-winning #1 Amazon best-selling thriller author A.G. Mock. Yes. Yeah, very quickly rising in popularity. He's a two-time American Fiction Award winner, and he's also had the distinction of earning a Publishers Weekly Book Life Editor's Pick for a psychological thriller, Now is the Time of Monsters, and he has hit #1 on Amazon's horror and thriller charts in the US, UK, and Canada for each of his books. And yeah, he's coming to Imaginarium. Uh, yeah, we got a whole lot of good stuff that just got announced. It's been tricky trying to make sure we pace these announcements because guess what? We've got more coming, so you keep an eye on the Imaginarium site. We got some more great spotlighted guests about to be announced as well. And let's see here. Let's see what we got going on. We got to get this big window open up here. So give me just a second here. We have got the film festival entries, first 38. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. This is the first 38 that have been accepted as official selections. All these will be screened, they will be juried. So there will be some more official selections announced. There's still the screenplay finalists to be announced. And then there will also be later some projects that will not make official selections, but we feel they have merit. And we like to showcase the filmmakers, and they will be put into our indie filmmaker spotlight. And that takes place on the Sunday, the week of Imaginarium. But let me give you these real quick, as it will take a minute to get through these because there's quite a few of these. So just bear with me, and I'm going to go in roughly alphabetical order for the U.S. and then international selections. We have AI Jesus, and that's director Ashley Billington, a short film. Another Day in the Neighborhood, director Dylan A. Young, and that's a short film. Black Saturday, Alexander Colt Young, and that is a short film. Clack Mountain Clay, director. I just heard from Jeffrey. He will be coming to Imaginarium, as will the next filmmaker, Distant Dreams, director Caroline A. Peterson, and this is a documentary. Evenly Matched, director is Troy Nicholas Tedeschi, and that's a documentary. Then For Remembrance, Travis Kane Price is the director, short film. Hunters, director Derek Bowder, short film. I do this one. That one will definitely crack you up, folks. You got to check that one out. Then we have In Plain Sight, director Alexander Maxwell, short film. Invasion 53, director is Danielle Weinberg, short film. Lawn Beaver, director Claude D. Miles, short film. Director Mace, director is Beecher Runing. Sorry about that. And that is in the short film category. Then we have Malice Manor Cribs. Director is Jason William Allen, and that would be a short film. Then we also have My Foot is in Heaven. Director is Iyad Hajaji, and that is a short film. Then we have North Point. Director Rick Pate, and that is a short film. Open for Connection, director Aaron Ray, and that is a short film. Round the Corner, director Russ Emanuel, short film. Simultane, director Thomas Grascour, short film. Shot Clock, director Ethan Avery, feature film. The Conversation, director Victor Miller V, short film. The End, director Herschel Zahn, music video. The Mystery is of Science, Volume 1. And there's 5 directors: Claude D. Miles, Ronnie Jonah, who we just mentioned earlier, Megan Hunt, Sven Granlund, and John J. Robinson, web series. The Other, director Emmett Swan, short film. The Redemption of Mary Louisa McBroom. Director is Gregory Fish. Documentary. Director Amy Lee McCorkle. Documentary. Congratulations, Amy. I know you are in the chat room as I speak. Congratulations to you. And Too Late, director Artur Matviv, and that is a short film. Zero Trace, director Seth Young, short film, and those are projects. International selections so far include A Girl Called Alice, director Tristan Lorraine, a short film out of the United Kingdom. A Night with the Queen, director Tayo Ellison, short film out of the United Kingdom. Africa Blanca, The Color of Exile, director is Aslarabi Aloui, and that is a feature film from France. Empathy Rehearsals, director Jacopo Cullen, short film from Italy. Live in Live, director is Tetne Tun, and that is a short film from the United Nikolenko, and that is a feature film from the Russian Federation. Then we have once again the start of it all, and that is Kalechi Precious Amadi, short film out of Canada. We have Rooted, and director is Salish Rajan Israni, and that's a documentary from the United Arab Emirates. Then we have The Beneath, director Lisette Vlasak, and that is a short film from the Netherlands. And The Noise Beneath, director is Anastasia Alexandrova, and that is a web series out of Indonesia. So, yes, that's the first 38, folks, of our film festival. So, yeah, we're doing all right on time. Let's see. We do have to get. I'll say hi to Holly real quick because she. Well, no, she. I'll bring Holly in here right after I get through the folks that brought you today's show, and then we'll get Holly back on. Then we will introduce our guest who's on deck. So the folks that brought you tonight's show are Sandy Lender, the genre blender herself, and the fine folks at Purbostet. First of all, here's a little bit from Sandy.
Did you know that fantasy author Sandy Lender offers more than epic fantasy novels for your escapist tendencies? Oh, my friends, Sandy's imagination can take you to all kinds of crazy or satirically vampiric or horrifying places. She even has soothing poetry to ease you through periods of grief. Visit AuthorSandyLender.com to choose the exact adventure you need today.
And thank you, Sandy. We appreciate you very, very much for your longtime support of the show, as we do Per Bostet, who also have been long-time supporters. And here's a bit about Per Bostet. Purbostet Publications is a small press based in the Louisville metro area, specializing in speculative fiction and other outside-the-box books. 40 titles in print and ebook formats and a handful of audiobooks. Purbostet offers a little bit of everything. Check out Frenemies in Space, Marion Allen's new science fiction short story collection featuring return character Smartmouth Connie Phelan. Or try Michael Dabney's latest David Blaze mystery, A Deadly Game, a prequel set in 1984 Philly. You can find these titles and more at purbostetpublications.com, at Amazon, or you can find the press in person at Kentucky and Indiana book fairs and conventions. Purbostet Publications, where timeless tales unfold. Shout out to Lee Harris, Marion Allen, Sarah Marion, as I call them, the literary trifecta or literary triumvirate. You can definitely use either with them. Super talented people. So, Holly, say hi real quick before we get our guest aboard.
Hey, never fear, Holly's here. I just scared the cat half to death. She took off like a bullet. Queen Victoria
That's
was not impressed. It's okay,
or was
Vicky.
impressed,
It's
or
okay,
she
honey.
was
Come on.
impressed, or
Boy,
she
I
was
don't know. Her
very
eyes are
impressed.
real big, and she, boy, I tell you, she took off. She come back now. It's okay. Mommy wouldn't harm at you, honey. It's okay.
Bringing the energy, Holly. Well,
Well,
that's good
I told
because
them in the chat, never fear, I was here, and they said, they were terrified. Now they feel better.
all right. Well, that's good. That's a good segue into our guest segment, and because we're going to go ahead and roll right into this guest introduction. This is fantastic. Tonight's guest is an author, an editor, and a retired powerlifting champion. He is in several anthologies. Tonight, he is discussing an exciting new project that is just launched yesterday. And it is my honor and pleasure to bring to you for the very first time on the Star Chamber Show the one, the only, Jesse James Fain. And Jesse, you should be on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
am I coming through good and clear?
yeah, yeah, you sure are.
Beautiful.
You
Excellent.
coming?
Howdy, everybody.
Nice
Hello.
to
Are
talk to
you
you
in a
finally.
car?
I am not. I'm on it's a pair of headphones, but that might be giving a little bit of that
Okay, that
headphone
noise.
vibe.
Yeah, it sounds
Okay.
like you're out in the wind.
Oh,
A
I
little
can
bit, a
fix
little bit.
that. One moment.
All right.
I think
Yeah,
that's fixable.
Jesse brought his own wind effects. Now that
I
is
know,
next level
right?
guest kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
we
want
We
spare
live for
no
that kind of stuff.
expense here.
Yeah, we
any
spare
better
no
now?
expense.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's better.
much
That's
You,
much better.
much better. Yeah, because I've been hearing these tales of you, these mythical tales from this KB Carlisle fellow, and so yes, my interest in you has been piqued for a while, and I've been really looking forward, and I was thrilled that you can join us this summer, of course, and so yeah, I mean tonight is definitely a night for us to visit and chat and
Have
you
fun.
just
We're a
and
wild bunch around here.
yeah.
that's normal for me. I will feel right at home, as you can tell by the fact I spend time with KB. So.
Yeah, yeah, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, we won't hold that against you. I promise. I promise. But, but yeah, he's yeah, that KB, he represents people well. I promise you. So it's nothing but good, nothing but good we've ever heard from Mr. Carlisle. And but yeah, he's yeah, but we definitely because you just kickstarted, pardon the pun, project yesterday. It's now live and so yeah, I want to get into the heart of that, but of course, I want to get into the heart of what you're about as an author and editor. So, but yeah, this is the first time on the show, so I guess the basic question. Go ahead and could you introduce yourself to our audience in your own words?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you've probably given me one of the best hype intros that I've had on any of these shows or anything, but I'll do my best to follow that wonderful introduction up. Hi
Well,
everyone,
thank
I
you.
am Jesse James Fain. I also write under Tyrus Drake, depending on how much sex you like with your violence.
Woo.
Um, I write sword fights, fist fights, gun fights, anything that I can squeeze a fight into. I grew up in love with martial arts and with firearms and all of those things. I got to be older and got the opportunity to train and or have a little bit of actual real life experience with all of that. So I bring a little bit of real life fighting into the fiction, generally focusing on deep themes that tie into that vengeance, loss, redemption, things like that.
Yeah, that is
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, 'cause I'd seen that in the background because I also love the martial arts. I definitely need to get back on track with training myself. Oh God, being an editor and publisher and podcaster and convention
Takes
guy,
its toll.
it
Yeah.
takes its toll. But I do tend to get back into it. But I'm versed enough I can talk about it a bit with you. And I just love seeing yeah, that you even fought MMA, that you were an instructor, and I'm like, yes, I mean, yeah, because the kind of stuff you write, I'm like, yeah, I bet you his fight choreography is spot on, and so yeah, I love talking to writers that are like that. So that was cool, and but I'm excited also about this, especially, and this is the timely thing tonight, and we hope to
Oh, yeah.
encourage some folks to come aboard with it. But yeah, you've got a new Kickstarter that just launched and looks cool. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to. I want you to put it in your own words about everything about this. But this is super super cool.
Yeah. So I just launched Kickstarter for a novel I am calling Gravesinger. Gravesinger is set in what I call the Midnight Sea and the Midnight Sea universe. And Gravesinger follows the story of Leonidas Vanagander. I'm going to call him Leo because most people are probably going to struggle with that last name. I promise it is story related. I did not just give him a pain in the ass last name for no reason. And Leo is a retired special forces medic in a world where magic is very real. It's out there, everyone knows about it. But he served in what I call the United States Sorcerers Legion with his best friend Jason, and did his time, did his tours, and got out. As a 18 Delta, that's the designation in real life for a Special Forces medic. Leo was what they called a demon delta. Not only could he heal people magically, but his specialty was necromancy. So Leo gets a call from Jason one day, who's now a detective at home in Dallas. And Jason calls Leo up and says, "Hey, man, are you sicking zombies on people?" And Leo, being who he is like, "No, I can. You know, do you need somebody dead? What's the deal?" And Jason goes, "No, no, 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 no. Get your ass over here. I have a murder case that involves zombies. I need your specialty. I need your help." Uh, that murder case leads to a political plot. That political plot leads not only into something that's very much trying to kill Jason and Leo, but also leads them into the Midnight Sea. Now, the Midnight Sea is a interdimensional waterway. Think an ocean that touches everywhere. It's my world's version of the River Styx, the ocean, Green Flash, the Bermuda Triangle. It's all of those things. And tucked in a little pocket dimension on a corner of the Midnight Sea is a bar I call the Holy Diver. And the Holy Diver is where all these power players gather together, and they make deals and plans, and they send raiding parties out with what I call divers, which are people with special skills and powers that are equipped to be able to travel all through the universe and go retrieve all of these things. So the what starts off as a simple murder case just scales and scales and scales and ties all of this in together for Leo and how it affects his world.
That's
Did you
fantastic. And
listen to the song Holy Diver while writing
yeah,
this?
I was
Yes,
thinking that.
absolutely. Um,
Yes, I would say that would be perfect.
Dio.
I'm a,
Yeah.
I, I'm a huge heavy metal fan.
Oh,
And
Stephen,
Oh,
there you
my
go.
man. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. All
uh,
right.
we did heavy metal while we were training, heavy metal while I was powerlifting, and it's just in general my music genre. So every chapter in Gravesinger is named after a heavy metal song.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
people most people
Nice.
will recognize it.
Yep. Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
when you said holy and the diver, and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Yes, he definitely should have been listening to that music.
Yeah.
So do
Well, the
you
mid.
do you listen to music then while you write? Because Stephen, me and Stephen are like black and white as far as that goes. Because Stephen blast heavy metal music. I mean, blast it,
Well,
and it puts
various
him in a
kinds.
bubble to
Yeah.
write. And
Mhm.
me, no, I have to have my stingray music, as he calls it. I'm listening to Mozart or Bach
Yeah.
or some kind of
SeaWorld,
ambiance.
like you
Yeah,
hear at
so yeah,
SeaWorld. Yeah.
we're the SeaWorld. Yeah, that's my music when I write. So yeah, what are you listening to when you write? I mean, do you listen to it while you're writing, or is it just like more of an inspiration?
I am absolutely in the Stephen camp on this one. I throw my headphones on
Oh,
and have it slam. I'm
Wow.
a flow
nice.
state writer. Yeah, I'm a flow state writer. I'm a flow state everything. I was and for people that aren't familiar with flow state's what happens when you're not consciously thinking about what you're doing. It's very common for athletes, but it can work for anybody that works in a high stress environment. You'll see fighters be able to tap flow state. You'll see even surgeons often can tap flow state. But it's basically I'm letting my skills, my knowledge, everything that I have slip to the forefront. I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm letting everything just meld and move. And
So
I
you
write
are
that way.
more of like a what they considered a pantster. I've
Yeah.
never, I have never heard of someone describing it as a flow state like you have, and I could tap into that because I know exactly what you're talking about because I was a nurse. for a few decades, and I
Hmm.
call it nurse mode. Stephen has
Yep.
seen me go into nurse mode when we've seen an accident happen, a car accident. I mean, I just go out of the car and bam, run. I don't even think about me getting hit by a car, run across 4 lanes of traffic or anything. That ain't even crossing my mind. My mind is,
Yep.
helping someone, patient, and then it's all medical, and that's what I'm focusing on. Not everything else. So that's pretty cool. I like how you described that. Um,
Yes.
could
I
you
am most
describe more
definitely a
of how
pantser.
you? Yeah. Well, could you describe
Yeah.
more of like the flow state applied to writing? Like how? What's your advice for getting into that state to write?
It's really difficult, and that's that. I don't recommend this to people. This is just how I am as a person, and I never tamed it. It's my particular ADHD quirk. Um, but you'll find the thing once you recognize. Okay, this is the kind of person that I am. I'm not an outliner. I'm never going to sit down. If I sit down and write an outline, I did all the work. I don't want to write the story. Like, why would I
Right.
write something twice? That just
Yes.
it's. And I don't mean this in an insulting way for the outliners out there. If it works
No.
for you,
Go
baby,
for it.
let it rock. But for me, outlining is stupid because
Yeah.
outlining makes me feel personally like I already wrote the damn thing and now I don't want to write it a second time.
It makes us
Um,
feel boxed in, and that then because
yep,
of the ADHD brain, which I have, we think of 10 or 12 things, we got 30 tabs open at all times. So
yep,
ideas just bam, 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 bam. So for us to be forced to put a hard outline, it's like you're tying our hands.
yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it's just I would rather. I'm trying to find the right way to articulate this. If
Yeah.
I have a story in front of me and I hit a roadblock, I would rather articulate and fix the roadblock then and there and take care of it. Because to me, main story beats are not terribly difficult. If you have a theme, if you have a flow that you like to write in, or a speech pattern that you tell your stories in, that all becomes second nature the more you write. Once you hit that, it's more of, okay, I have a beginning, I have an end, now I have to fill the middle out. And to me, filling the middle out is something that's best done in the moment. I get better ideas that way. I get to paint things that make sense more that way. Um, and in my mind, any story should be laying the groundwork for the next thing to come as it goes. So I tend to write really in chronological order. I know a lot of people don't do that, but that for me, it's hard for me to write an end if I don't know what happened in the middle because I need to set
Right.
things up. I need to plant seeds.
Right. And then, yeah, I've been told over and over by several people to, you have to know your beginning, middle, and end. And then before you write, you should know these. And it's hard because then I feel like it boxes me in because I'm like you, I want to write from the beginning on.
Yep.
I kind of have an idea where I'm going. Yeah. And I kind of know how I'm going to get there, but I might change my mind mid book, and then want to, flip things around.
Yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's like I always say, it's like there are no hard rules for writers, and anybody telling you such, I mean, that's a big red flag to me. That saying
Yeah.
there's absolute rules for every writer. You have to find the mode that fits you personally and how you work the best.
Mhm.
But listening to you describe your process, I can relate to a great extent because when I am in my writing session, I get into a state that is similar to what you're describing, so I can relate to that. I will say that I do chart a little bit of kind of like if you're to graph out plotter versus pantser, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. just because I do have an idea of destination, and I've got some guardrails and a few things that I have as markers because often a lot of my writing involves ensemble casts. Several of them are series or franchises, and so there's always a few things that I definitely am shooting for and have notes on that serve as kind of guardrails. So there is a little bit of outlining involved, but I've always given myself tons of room for what you're
Hmm.
describing, the middle, the emergence of new ideas, being in the
Yeah, because you
moment,
might want,
not
yeah,
too heavy.
change
And I do write in chronological order when I'm doing the
Uh-huh.
actual writing. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what you're saying, I'm a little different, but as far as at the outset. But when I'm in it, yeah, that stuff what you're describing definitely is what I can relate to, and I think that, yeah, I mean, and if writers find that works, I mean, fantastic. And I think, yeah, the zone you're talking about, being in that zone, there's nothing better because it's like, yeah, it's like you're living it and telling it as you go. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can relate. That sounds familiar ground, and our musical ground also sounds very familiar
Yeah.
Yeah.
because when
And and KB
my son-
mentioned something
yeah,
about a soundtrack.
Oh yeah. So I'm still editing for the novel. We're doing Kickstarter, so I've got it with alpha readers. I'm trying to get it as polished as I can before I pass it over to the lovely Charlie Cox, who's going to do the actual edit for me.
cool.
But right now, every single chapter, and I'm basically just waiting to finalize the chapters to make sure I don't need to add a chapter, subtract a chapter, just small stuff like that, tweak what went in what chapter. Every single chapter is named after a heavy metal song that I personally enjoy, that in some way either relates to or inspired what happened in the chapter.
That's
I wanted to include quotes from the lyrics at the beginning of every chapter, but right now and don't get me wrong, I love copyright law. I want people to be protected, but when I researched the copyright law behind that, right now
yeah,
song lyrics are heavier protected than anything I will ever write or put on paper unless I too write a song. Um,
yeah.
so me directly attributing the band still requires me to seek written permission from either the record company or the band itself, whoever owns the rights. And on top of that, most of them charge a fee for every single
Mhm.
song. Just like if I wanted to use it in a commercial or something like that, they would want to treat it the same way. So I had to throw that idea out the window because as an indie author and not a big budget publishing firm,
Mhm.
it was just the financial and time reality of it was not appropriate. That being
Right.
said, as soon as it is finalized, I will actually send the playlist out to all the backers. I will throw it up on Spotify and YouTube Music and shoot that list out to everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
That is really
Yeah, I
cool.
love it.
I've
I
heard
love it. Yeah,
people
because you.
too. That's well. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Well,
like,
I was going to
are you
say
thinking of Heather Floyd?
we
Are
both
you
at
thinking of
the
Heather
same
Floyd? Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead and
Holly.
tell him about Heather.
Oh, yeah, she wrote a great memoir about, being a birth mother in an adoption situation where, she did, get a relationship with her son later, biological son, and it's a really moving memoir. It's great. We've had her on the show, and I worked with her on the book, but yeah, also had song references throughout her book, and she did at the end have a QR code that zapped you right to her playlist. So right at the end of the book, there was a page that said, "Well, if you really like this and you want to see the playlist from this that is behind this book, use this QR code, and it'll take you right to the Spotify list." And it was a really cool, I thought, way of doing it. And so yeah, I love it when authors have a playlist and then make it available.
That's
That's super
exactly what
cool.
I was going to say. Is the QR code. You can actually play, like do it on Spotify. Place your QR code in the back of the book, and then
Yeah,
people can go
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah. Just be over
yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Hmm.
I do plan on including it, but I wanted to get it to everybody early.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I'm hoping to deliver almost everything early as far as the Kickstarter is concerned. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I may have gotten a little overzealous and went ahead and paid for some stretch goals ahead of time.
Ah,
So
So
we'll see how that all works out. But I'm hoping to have it out to everybody, and then I'll throw it in the back of the book. But hopefully everyone will have it that wants it before they get the book.
nice.
that's
Well, you
awesome.
mentioned that your editor is Charlie Cox. I'm wondering if it's the same person that also is up for an Imagine finalist. As Imagine finalist for Whistles of the Wendigo,
Yep,
Joint
that's
Task
Charlie.
Force 13. Yep. Yeah, that's using Imagine finalist this year, in fact. But getting back to
Very cool.
your song title, I love it because yeah, some writers that I just absolutely love and have worked with, like Stephen Shrewsbury and Thomas Erb. You know, they're also big, huge metal fans, and they have worked references to songs into their stuff, and I love it when authors do that. So I know when I go through, it's almost I'll see it as a test. Will I get every single chapter without having to look anything up? It's
Yeah.
my to give myself a mental test. So
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to that for sure, for sure. But is this is this the start of a franchise or a series, like a
Uh,
numbered series, a
I think
franchise?
fran- I think franchise is the best way to put it. I like to use universe, but
Universe,
I
yeah.
I am going to round this out so it stands alone. I'm not going to hit anybody with a cliffhanger. I'm not going to like have you wondering like, oh my God, what? Why would you do that? Like, why would you stop here? I'm not doing that to people. There will be a nice defined, solid point where we've resolved some issues. But Leo's story will not be over in Gravesinger. Leo will have more story. It's just more story than I can fit into one novel. But this
Hmm.
does kick off an entire universe given success that will have anthologies, comic books. I'm hoping to do audiobooks. That's one of the stretch goals. Audiobooks are just very expensive. And, if the movie thing happens, then it comes around, it'll come around. Um,
Hmm.
I already have stories in hand for the anthology that is basically all of these wonderful small press and indie authors giving us their own diver and their own like mission heading out from the Holy Diver. Um, and that includes Charlie, that includes Jason Cordova, Michael
Nice.
LaVoice. Um, yeah, there's JT Arale, David Hensley, James Pittman. I have a if you're in the indie space, I have a ton of names that you will recognize
Yep,
from kind of all
definitely.
across that indie space that have, I mean, and those stories are in hand, ready to go. I haven't been able to edit them yet because I've been running this Kickstarter and dealing with personal life and getting this book ready and everything like that. But once Gravesinger is good and solid and ready, I will immediately be moving into the Holy Diver and the Midnight Sea anthology #1. And
Nice.
that
All right.
so so there's more planned already. I counted my chickens before they hatched.
That
And
ain't a bad thing.
yeah, and some really amazing authors who are bigger names than me had the faith to send me a story. So we're gonna get those out to the world too.
Awesome. Yeah, Jason, I've known Jason for many years. Yeah, we go back to just about 2010 or so. So when both of us were starting out. So as far as being published writers and all that, and so yeah, I've had a long time of knowing Jason. Great guy, and I know Michael LaVoice. Looking forward to meeting him for the first time in July.
Yes.
And yeah, all the names you mentioned, yeah, definitely familiar with them. You got some really good ones there. And but I'm curious about the cover art because I'm a sucker for shades of blue, and you certainly got them. I love the cover. It's so nice on your Kickstarter page, the cover artwork. Um, for I'm gonna ask you two questions. Who did the
Sure.
cover? And with that, I know that there may or may not be a spoiler tied to it. The hulking creature on the cover. Give us a little bit about that, and who did this cover for you?
Absolutely. So I have multiple covers, and the one that you're referring to was done by Jana Brown, who has a side gig for covers, and God bless her and me, I cannot remember what the actual name of the cover company is. Um, but I will try and find it while I'm talking.
Sure.
Uh,
And beautiful work, by the way. I mean, it's a really nice cover, and yeah, highly recommend folks checking that out.
yeah, and
But
Jen is a fantastic author herself. She runs Opal Kingdom Press for the writing side of things, but I think it was like Quiet Shadows covers, or I don't know. I'll look it up and try and share it out to
okay.
people. Um, but she did that cover for me. She did a special edition cover for me for a group called the Crowded Shelf. And the Crowded Shelf is like an indie bookstore that I travel with. That we go to conventions. We have like 45 to 50 authors, about 200 titles, and it makes it to where everybody doesn't have to like buy a table if they can't, or if it's 8 hours away and you
Mhm.
can't travel. And the authors staff the booth, and we sell not just our books but our friends' books too. So I did a special edition cover for them as like a salute to my, how much I love that idea. Um, and then there's the hardback special edition cover that is only going to be found on Kickstarter or if you run into me in person. Those are the only ways you're going to get that one. And that painting is by Melissa Gay.
Oh, Melissa. That's awesome. I know Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that another one I go back many years because I had first met her down in Tennessee. I want to say it was Mid South Con, maybe Hypericon when that convention was in Nashville. But Melissa is fantastic and yeah, great person. I always loved her work. So yeah, you definitely got some good artists on this project.
Uh,
Absolutely.
art is huge for me. I
Hmm.
am I come from an artist family and a musician family, but I am not skilled in either. I was skilled at breaking things, and I was skilled at words. Uh, so those are two things that I learned how to do. But the only reason I really got into writing as a passion is because I can't draw. I wanted to draw uh, the best way I can describe it is this was long before John Wick, but I wanted to do John Wick meets heavy metal. And
Nice.
real and I wanted it to be in a fantasy world where there was this dive bar bouncer who uh, basically this group of this noble family comes in and kidnaps the group, all the ladies that work at the bar, and he's got to go get them all back. Um, and I tried to write it as a novel, and I eventually will release it as a novel. It'll be under my pen name, but that adventure I wanted to really I would have loved for it to have been like a Western style anime, like like I think DC or Marvel's animated movies kind of thing, with tons of modern heavy metal. And but I can't draw worth anything, so instead I write books.
I feel your pain. I am the
I
same
feel you.
way
Yeah.
when it
Yeah, I
comes to
feel you.
artwork. Yeah, my artwork is let's just say not spectacular, and so yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've told Holly, I've joked that I'm going to definitely one day take some time and actually literally do some Bob Ross training on painting and see if I can at
Yeah,
least paint some trees and a skyline at some
yeah.
point.
So happy little trees.
That's
Happy
Yeah,
little
that's
trees.
happy hippie little trees. I'm gonna do it, by God, because I've always wanted to create something that actually looked like it's passable.
Something.
So, because yeah, something,
I
something.
haven't painted in a long time. I love art though. I drug Steven. Well, we went. I got him interested, more interested now. Increased it with Van Gogh. I love Van Gogh so much. and then a few modern artists. But yeah, we went to the Van Gogh exhibit, and yeah, it was just magnificent. But yeah,
Immersive exhibit. Yeah.
it all ties in, right?
Yeah.
With creative folks, we all, we don't just like one thing, we like many things as long as it's creative.
Yeah.
We love arts and music, and the writing and all that, so gaming, and we're just fun nerds. Is that what we are?
Yeah. And plus, it's a lot of fun watching artists come in and play in your universe. I mean, I've been
Oh
blessed to
yeah.
have that experience many times over, where I've seen different artists give their own takes on certain characters of mine, or different things about my world through covers
Yeah,
and
fan art.
all kinds of things.
Have you
Yeah,
got any
fan art.
fan art yet, Jesse?
Not yet. I'm hoping that maybe I will get a Bucky Bob or a Pam Joe from It came from the trailer park. I'm hoping somebody eventually is gonna, because that's been the most rights. That's the one everybody like has seen and everybody knows. Um, so I'm hoping at some point to get one of those or it's popping up at some point. But so far it
Uh-huh.
hasn't happened. The closest to fan art I have is that I just got and gave final approval on the character portrait stretch goal today. So I had a couple of them that were the prototypes. We use that in some of the Kickstarter promotional material.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but the literal, like, okay, I'm perfectly happy with this. This is my vision. This is what I wanted. I just got those earlier today, so I'm really excited
Sure.
about that.
Well, while we're on the topic of stretch goals and such, talk about the tiers, because it's a Kickstarter. So tell us about what folks can get on the various levels
Yeah,
from
absolutely.
Kickstarter.
So I wanted to be as generous as I could while still getting the funding that I needed. And we looked really heavy. I have a buddy, I call him Perez. There's a bunch of Davids in my life, so they all get labeled by their last name. And he's been a marketer for many years. He's one of my best friends since high school. And he really helped me research the fire out of Kickstarter. And so we looked at a ton of tiers to see like what a reasonable pricing was and how we could maximize value. The way we ended up doing that is that there's a $10 tier that is the ebook, and you're going to get a thank you in the book as well. Like up front, I'm going to have a list of all the donors, and thank you so much for making this project, making my publishing company. All of this is going to come to reality because of the generous donations that you made. That's kind of the basic tier as far as Kickstarter offers like a $1, just donate or whatever. And I'll throw everybody in there. But the $10 gets you the ebook. $25 gets you a paperback with the cover with Leo and Starcod. That's the big hulking monster you asked me about earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
and Starcod is a massive specimen of an undead grizzly bear.
Oh,
Ooh.
cool.
That's really all. He's got some pouches and stuff. He's got some gear of his own. He's the closest thing Leo gets to a pet, is the best way I could put it. Um, I started to give Leo a loyal pet companion, but it started to feel too Dresden.
Mhm.
I didn't want Leo. I wanted Leo to have something like that, but I didn't want it to feel like Mister. And if something happens to the cat, everyone riots. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I needed something that I could make that would fill the space, but that would um, it's still okay if bad things happen because I'm a realistic writer and I like to write fights and people get hurt and bad things happen. Um,
Mhm.
so that's the $25 paperback. Yeah, $25 paperback tier. That tier qualifies you for almost everything. The character art packs, the landscape of the Holy Diver, all the stretch stuff we have. If you did the paperback tier, you're going to get a copy of the ebook too, so you can read it if you want on the ebook if you want to. But you're going to be locked into almost everything. The $65 tier is for the special edition hardback. That's a true acrylic painting that Melissa Gay did for me that I commissioned from her. I have the physical painting sitting 10 feet behind me.
Oh
I
wow.
need to get a better. I need to get a better frame for it. And like I said, that's a Kickstarter and me only kind of thing. I reserve the right to sell it in person for more than the Kickstarter people are going to pay for it because it's going to be an absolutely beautiful cover, especially if we hit some of our stretch goals. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Edie Sky or Heather Hollow. They're the same person. But
Okay.
Heather does absolutely stunning special editions with foil covers and beautiful artwork and sprayed edges and everything. And if we can get the money, I plan to do all of that for the special edition. I want it to be a beautiful shelf trophy and a beautiful reading experience for everybody. It'll have, wonderful art for the chapter header. I'm planning on really making that hardback cover, that whole thing special. Then I offered some limited tier stuff. I believe all the Tuckerization tier is actually sold. But basically, what I was offering was making somebody a background character in the book. I think KB picked up one of those. So you'll actually, you'll get to see. I think I'm going to manage to sneak KB and Jody into the book.
Uh-huh.
So that was an offer. Another one that I am doing is if this goes just gangbusters, if all of a sudden I'm looking at $20,000 or $30,000, this was always intended. The end goal is to have a companion tabletop role playing game.
Oh.
Nice.
Uh,
Yes.
and I have the love to do it. I have the love of world building to do it, and I have the friends that are in the industry to help.
To
But
be able to do it.
oh my God, it's expensive. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a ton of work, and I have to pay people for their work. If I'm getting paid, I'm going to pay for it. And so, especially considering this is cross genre fiction, it's portal fantasy. I have cyberpunk street knights. I have half demon muscle mommies. I have redheaded techno barbarian princesses, all to go with Leo's
Nice.
crazy powers. And they all come
Nice.
from these different worlds. So it really lends itself well. It's inspired by Shadowrun. It's inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. So I'd love to do that, but this Kickstarter will have to go crazy for me to be able to do that right now.
Right.
So that being said, one of the support tiers is I'm using the 5e rules from Dungeons and Dragons and the 5e Ultra Modern manual, which allows you to do, like cyberpunk stuff and things like that. And I'm going to craft 2 games worth of D&D content, but set in the Midnight Sea universe. And so one of the tiers is a purchase for a seat at the table, which will be online because I'm not going to be able to get people from all across the country down at a table together as much as I would love to. So that's a tier to be able to play in that game. A couple of those have sold already. And then my last tier was almost a joke. And I called it the Make a Dream tier. And it's a $2,000 tier, which is nuts. But that was over the stretch goal or not over the stretch goal, over the base funding goal for the book. And the entire purpose of it was if somebody comes along, and there's like the guy that made Minecraft, Surf's Kickstarter. And, if some dude with way too much money or lady with way too much money just comes along and is like, hey, I love this, I want to make this happen, they could click a button and make it happen. And that came, or if anybody, by all means, go pick it up. If that gets picked up, that has its own short story attached to it. I will write a 10,000-word personal short story that I will, work with the donator as much as they want to do. Like if you want to be heavy involved, you want to dictate the pacing, you want to help me build a diver, then we can do that. And if you just want to look at me and say, hey man, I trust you, you're the author, let it roll, then we can do that too. Um,
Very cool.
so there's options in there to get in the book. There's options in there to like craft a diver. I've got all kinds of fun stuff that lets you get involved if you want to.
That is cool. I love the fact that you're going the direction of a tabletop game, and I love the fact you got some collectible hardcovers involved. I mean, that's some great stuff. And then if this thing really blows up, you could add a top tier where KB. You get a weekend with KB Carlisle where he hosts you.
I I don't know if you've ever seen D&D in a castle.
In a
In a
cat.
But
castle?
yeah, there's literally a program called D&D in a castle, and it's like a vacation
No.
program, and they hire like Mark Meir or some of the other guys that are involved in the space. They hire professional dungeon masters, and
Really?
it's like a couple $1,000 trip, and it's like a long weekend, and they rent a castle and provide food and lodging and everything else, and you go
Oh my
play
God.
a 3 or 4 day D&D campaign with a professional DM in a castle. And
That would be
I
epic.
if I could afford it, I would give the D&D in a castle experience. Um, so
Yeah.
that may well, like I said, if this explodes and I'm looking at a silly amount of money, that might be an ultimate stretch tier add-on or something that I add on where I figure the money out and we make it happen because there is a castle. I'm in North Georgia, and we do have one castle that is for rent, so I could try and make it
Believe
happen.
it or we've got one here just outside of Lexington. Believe it
Yeah,
or
we
not.
do.
We do. It's a nice one. But
It
yeah,
is
so
very nice, and it is a venue, so they
it
would
is a venue.
definitely. It wouldn't be cheap, but they would definitely do
Yeah,
it. Let you rent
Yeah.
part of it
yeah,
out.
no,
That's for sure. That would be epic. I am not kidding. That would be
yeah.
so much fun. And there's also a D&D cookbook which I
Hmm.
bought for one of our friends that we've had run games for us, campaigns. And he's made a few things out of it. It's pretty cool. And there's a drink book. There's all kinds, and you could get like a caterer that would do D&D themed, meals and everything. That would be
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
hope you get it. I do. I
Yeah.
hope you get it. And you never know. They're saying in chat, yeah, Mallory said it was 45 minutes it was funded. So you're going to your stretch goals now, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, congratulations.
we're between 1 and 2 right now, I believe. I don't. I haven't looked, and I haven't looked since I've been running around today. I was running around like a crazy person before the show, but
Yeah.
we were at
Okay.
around $2,000 last I looked,
Nice.
which is we're getting close to 200% funded, which is
Nice.
amazing. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I would
Well
love
done.
to. I would love for the train to keep rolling because that's
Yeah.
going to let me do like audiobooks. Like that's one of the things I want to include for anybody that gets the special edition hardback tier or higher. Like I'll include the audiobook if it gets funded. But audiobooks again, that's one of those things like
Costs
I
money.
got to yeah, well and I've got to pay some bills too. Just, being
Right on.
realistic.
Oh,
So that's
absolutely.
like my final stretch goal at like 10K is the audiobook. Now, if I end up at like 8, I'm not saying I won't go ahead and make the audiobook anyway.
Right.
um,
Right.
but it's one of those things I have to be able to fund up front.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
That's awesome. And yeah, I
Makes
understand.
sense. Makes sense.
Yeah,
And yes,
yeah,
you deserve to get paid too.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
thing with Kickstarters. People are like, "Why do you need so much? And why do you need it?" Well, because you've got to pay people for one thing, and then the next is, you this is your living too. You've put in work. You've put in a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and yeah, this is your work of art, so you deserve to
Yeah.
get paid too. And
Yeah,
yeah, a lot of people
absolutely.
don't get that
Right.
aspect if they're not in the
And
creative world.
and it's you got to factor in the cost of all the stuff on the physically producing. So there's a
Yeah,
lot to calculate,
publishing,
but
yeah, all that.
Well, and
Yeah,
it's
it
I
all
looking like,
costs money.
hopefully tonight you will get a boost. Hopefully our listeners will come through for
Yes.
you and move that needle a little bit. So
I hope
hopefully
so.
get out there, folks. Pledge,
Yeah,
pledge, pledge.
I
Yes,
think
we want a castle. I'm all in, man.
Yeah,
I would love to
yeah,
see that come to fruition. That'd be awesome.
yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, but all the tiers sound great. I mean, it sounds like your tiers are priced well, and what you're offering is fantastic. And yeah, such a cool assortment. So that is fantastic. Congrats! I didn't realize it already doubled. You already got 200%. So your initial
That's
goal. So
crazy.
that is great, man. Great work. But yeah,
Yes.
let's keep that train roll. How long is the campaign going to run for? As far as the
so.
window.
We are doing a traditional 30 days. I know there's like a trend going on right now where people run it a little shorter. So it's kind of a get in, get out thing. But I know, I'm trying to find the right way to put this. There was a significant portion of my life where when the bills were paid and the groceries were bought and gas was in the tank, there was $20 left in my bank account. I had
Right.
$22.50 left over after every paycheck.
Been
Um,
there. Been
And
there.
so, if somebody really wants a book, I really want them to be able to get the book, especially if it's mine. And so, I thought, I know people that work off contracting or work off of like federal jobs or whatever. Paydays are once a month. And if payday's already passed, when I go live on the 5th, they're not going to have the opportunity if I do it in like 15 days. So I went with the traditional 30 days. That gives people a month to figure it out if they want to figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, then I totally understand. But I wanted to allow
Right.
people the opportunity.
Very
Well,
cool.
that makes
Very cool.
sense.
Yeah.
That
That
KB
makes
says
sense.
he knows we broke. Yes. The 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 hungry artist, yeah, yeah, it's a
It's
true
real.
thing. It's a real thing.
Very true thing. We
There's
know.
none of us, not too many of us
Yeah.
are wealthy either. You've
Yeah.
got your top 1%, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rest of us, we are struggling, but we're having
Yeah.
fun doing it. So,
Yeah. Makes that part worth it, of course. But yeah, it's definitely tough, to say the least.
hmm
I
hmm
can relate. I can relate for
takes
sure. So
persistence, which I
yeah.
love to see. Jesse, you're young, you've got that that drive, and yeah, you're going to go far, man. You are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how old were you when you started writing? What was your inspiration?
So I, um, let's see how far back we want to go. So Um, but it was my mom who taught me how to read, and I was very stubborn about it. I was like, the childlike thought, a process of like, I don't even know how to read. Everybody else does. Like, they can just read, and I can keep doing my kid stuff, and we'll be okay. But she finally found a book. The book was called Dinotopia. And Dinotopia was written by James Gurney, who is not an author, but is a painter.
Huh.
But James loved painting dinosaurs, and I love dinosaurs more than just about anything else on the planet. I loved them back then. I still love them now. And so he made all these big, beautiful dinosaur paintings of this world where humans and dinosaurs were interacting and working together. And then he wrote a book to sell the paintings. Um, and so that really started my love of fiction and speculative fiction and fantasy very early. Um, my grandfather was a professional musician. He played bass for Jerry Lee Lewis, for anybody that's into really old music. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
remember.
cool.
and yeah,
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis, Patsy Cline, Screaming Jay
Woo!
Hawkins.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of people from that 60s and 70s eras of music. My grandfather, he played with them, but he was on the road a lot. Um, And because he was on the road a lot, he collected a ton of books. And I was probably 8 or 9, I want to say, when he said, "Hey, Jess, I've read through all these. I'm probably not going to read them again. Here you go." And he hands me an entire moving box, the big ones, the over a foot long box,
Yeah.
stacked
Yeah.
all the way to the top, full of books. And it has Dune, Lord of the Rings, Robin
God.
Hood's Assassin's Apprentice, Tarzan, um, a really terrible novel from Phillippe Jose Farmer called A Feast Unknown that he should have been shot for writing.
Hey, like
Uh,
A Tale of Two Cities.
yeah. Um, when I tell you, do not go read this book. I know everybody likes, don't tell me what to do. No, I'm warning you. Do not
Mm-hmm.
read that book. Just look it up on Wikipedia, read what it's
Mm-hmm.
about, laugh, and move on with your life.
Tale of Two Cities,
Um,
too. Don't read it.
yeah.
Holly is, yeah, it's her favorite book, as you can tell. Yeah.
No.
Yes. Uh, that's me with this and Lord of the Flies. It's
Oh,
uh, so anyway, he hands me this book box full of classics that just has, I mean, all the stuff that people are like, everybody needs to read. He had it already. He had it all in the one box, and it took me years to go through that box. And some of them I absolutely loved, and some were absolute trash. Um, but I eventually worked my way through the whole box. When I got to be a little bit older and I was wrapping up high school and moving into college, uh, I that was the Jim Butcher and Larry Correia era. That was when
Nice.
those series were first getting started, and I was a Harry Potter kid. I was at the midnight releases for all of those.
Cool.
yes,
Um,
yes.
I had a copy of Wizard's First Rule in chemistry class. I'd rather read that than do chemistry. Um, and so I was in love with stories from a very early age. I did some writing then, and I did some writing moving into college. But I had looked at writing and looked at the publishing industry and said, that is one of those things. It's like me trying to be a pro athlete. It's the 1% of the 1%.
Right.
Um, and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a degree and be a physical therapist. And that's where I'm going to go with my life. Life did not work out that way. But I spent a ton of time doing collaborative writing on collaborative, like basically like D&D online kind of websites. But you'd
Yeah.
write a paragraph or two. Someone else was playing another character. They'd come in. They'd write another paragraph or two. Somebody else was playing the DM. I did a ton of that. When I wasn't studying for school or doing whatever in college, I was doing that. Um, and so that led to a lot of writing practice. I kept getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And then finally, it was just a few years ago. I go to Dragon Con every year just as a fan. Um,
Mhm.
and my now wife, girlfriend at the time, Mallory, she's in the chat. Um, Mallory was with me, and I got a 15 minutes with a pro author to pick their brain and get advice. And that the person who was supposed to be there before me didn't show up. So they had an author who had showed up, donated their time, but didn't have anybody to sit down with. So the lady running it looks at me and says, "Hey, do you want to do two?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? Why would I not want to do two?"
Right.
Um, so I went in. I did my first 15 minutes. I walked back out. Mallory was sitting there waiting on me. And I talked with her there in the hallway, right next to where the like literature, sci-fi track room is, down in the Hyatt and at Dragon Con. And one of the associate editors at Three Ravens was walking by and heard me talking to Mallory. And I went back into my second, author interview, and the editor walked up to Mallory and said, "Wow, what was he talking about?" And Mallory, bless her, pulls her phone out and hands her my story on her phone right then and there. And she read a little bit of it and said, I need you guys to meet us at the Weston Bar at about 7 tonight because you need to meet my boss.
I bet I know where this is going. This is gonna
Yeah.
be cool.
So that was BarCon. And for anybody out there that doesn't know what BarCon is where all the writers meet at a specific bar for almost every convention somewhere. And they go and they hang out and they talk shop and they make deals. And if you buy somebody a beer, in general, you have until they finish their beer to pick their brain. And I met Hillbilly, who runs Three Ravens Publishing. And
Nice.
Hillbilly,
Yes, Hillbilly.
We love him. Yes.
Hillbilly sits down with me and spends about 2 hours with me. And during those 2 hours, he grabs me and says, "Hey, Jess, come on." And Hillbilly takes me over to everyone that I didn't already know and says, "Hey, this is Jess. He's a new author. We've been chilling, hanging out. One of my other editors likes some of his stuff. Let's take a look. Talk to him. I wanted you guys to meet." And gave me that chance of meeting everyone.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I had been just dying to write a Drop Trooper story. Starship Troopers, Halo, Warhammer 40K, Drop Pods, that kind of feel. Like it had really been like, man, I really want to try my hand at this because I had loved Halo and the ODSTs. I'd loved that growing up and in college. And all of a sudden I look on the Three Ravens website and there's a call for Contested Landing, and it's a antho. It's all about Drop Troopers.
What is the chances? That was fate.
Yeah. And I was like, cool. I've been dying to write this story. It's going to be a short story. I can write it faster. I can take a break from the novels and stuff I've been trying to work on and just hammer this short story. And my best friend since I was 11, who I call my brother, it just makes the relationship explanation easier.
Right.
My brother was a combat Marine. He was an infantryman. He fought in Afghanistan. So I called him up and I said, "Hey man, are you okay with looking this over?" It's like, yeah, I know guns, but I don't know gun fights. I didn't serve. I'm not a veteran. I've had some stupid stuff happen with firearms, but I've never been in this kind of situation. Can you just read it over when I'm done? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then he started kind of telling me stories, as he had many times. But one of the stories he told me about was what he called a barracks brawl. And so this became the opening. This is the first scene or chapter or whatever you want to call it of Children of Fire. Is everybody's on liberty, they're screwing around, they're drinking, they're hanging out in their barracks rooms together, shooting beer pong, being stupid. And all of a sudden, one of the guys comes in and he's like, "Hey, they took one of the privates." And he was like, "What the hell do you mean they? Who took the privates?" And it was the platoon that lived across from them literally kidnapped him, tied him to a furniture dolly, and held him for beer and cigarette ransom.
Oh my God.
So, and then everybody poured out into the courtyard. This is the real life version. Everybody pours out into the courtyard at the barracks and has a knockdown drag out over them kidnapping this poor private.
This is awesome.
So that became my character, how I introduce you to all the characters and what their thought processes are like and what they're good at and what they're bad at. And you get the feel for everybody. For my Drop Troopers is they kidnapped Sorensen and hold him hostage, and it breaks out into a barracks brawl right there in one of the parade sections of the ship on this big interstellar fighter. And so they have their knockdown drag out until till one of the officers shows up because he's got a mission. Um, and yeah, so that's but that was my
That's
first published story. That's the one that I put all the pieces together, and that published at LibertyCon. What will be 3 years ago this year?
very cool. Yeah,
That
that
is
is awesome.
awesome.
And I love getting to hear a hillbilly story because he's definitely near and dear to Holly and myself, and we just love Three Ravens. So love that. That's in the mix here. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And I
Yeah,
love
great.
to hear
Great
those
stuff.
stories because, like William was talking about in the chat here, he's saying, he hears some of the stories at the VFW, and I'm like, yeah, because my dad was a drill sergeant. Okay, I got the privilege of growing up with a father that was a drill sergeant. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was real fun. And so he used to make me ride my bike, and I was chubby, right? And so I'm riding my bike. He's jogging along, doing his mile jogs. He'd jog backwards. He'd say, "Come on, chubby, pedal. Come on, chubby." And he'd just be, going along like it was nothing, jogging along. And it's like I'll never forget this. As long as
yeah,
I live. Come on, chubby.
Well,
It's like, God.
all I gotta say is I'm a Kentucky guy, so of course, when I wanted to get engaged to Holly, I did ask for his blessing. That's the right thing to do. And
No, you
let me
had the
tell you,
guts to do it.
yeah, and he did not hesitate. Immediately said, "Go for it." So I am proud to say I got the blessing without hesitation from the drill
there you
sergeant.
go. That's
So
what
And
matters.
he was from the holler too. He was from
yeah,
Kentucky too, and he grew up
I
in the
got to
holler.
prove.
So yeah, I'm telling you, he had some stories. I wish I would have actually, recorded them all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But some of the
yeah.
stuff they do in the military, I tell you, it's hysterical. So
Oh
that's
my
so
God,
cool
yeah.
that you added that in because they're going to be able to relate to it. They're going to read it and say, "Ha ha, yeah, I remember those days."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I try and do a lot
Yeah.
of that. I try and do a lot because I write fights, and
Yep.
I was connected to that world. I like I said, didn't serve, but I had family that served. I trained at the gym with guys who were at First Fallujah. I've spent so much time around them. I got a feel. I don't know. I've never been there, but I got a feel for what it was like. And so my first couple published stories focus very much on that. There was Children of Fire, and that is the when you're in, but you want to get out because that's Atlas's whole thing. Is like he wants to get out, he wants to start a family, but he's got to survive this crazy mission first. Um,
Hmm.
and then my second story with that was Dead Wolf, and Dead Wolf is actually Leo's story. It's a short story that was my first outing with that character. So now Dead Wolf, I've gotten the rights back, and everything like that. So I have actually expanded that into Gravesinger.
Nice.
And so, but Leo's whole thing, he's retired and now he's home, and now he doesn't know what to do with his life. Which is another thing that I saw very often. We called
Yeah.
it the Dark Ages,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
every veteran gets home and
Yep.
has their dark age,
Yeah, they
especially
got
if
to
they
acclimate. Yeah.
yeah if they were involved in combat operations and they were doing the high speed stuff, and then it's like, okay,
Hmm.
cool. So none of those skills transferred, and now everybody treats me like I don't have any job experience and I'm not good at anything. And I used to be in charge
No,
of $1 million equipment and murder bad
it's
guys all
shitty.
day.
Yeah, it's shitty. It's shitty how they're treated. It really
Yeah.
is. It's
Mhm.
unbelievable.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
And
that's
how the
How
hell are you
did
supposed to get? Well, I never understand that though with employers. How the hell are you supposed to get any training or experience if they're not willing to let you? And
yep.
and so if everyone tells you no, 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 you don't know how to do this, you don't know how that, even though you drove the $1 million tanks, and help, they could help you apply your knowledge. No, we can't do that. Well, then they go down the road. No, we can't do so. How the hell you ever supposed to have experience?
Mhm.
It's just awful.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. But now, how would you? Okay, let's take the next step though. You've of course been a writer on things, but I also have seen that you've helmed anthologies from the editor's side. So how did that evolve and start?
Well, that's actually another hillbilly story.
Nice.
Um,
We're
Hillbilly.
always up for hillbilly
Always
stories.
in for
Yep.
hillbilly stories.
so I'm at Dragon Con. There's a lot of Dragon Con stories too. Dragon Con was my
Uh-huh.
first convention ever. It's my home convention. One of
Nice.
my buddies looked at me and was like, "Hey man, you're like, you're about to go back to college. Or maybe I just got, basically like you're home right now. Let's go." So I got a 1 day pass. I went. I fell in love. That was, God, 14 years ago at this point. Um, so um, the next Dragon Con, I had submitted a story for It Came from the Trailer Park. Um, and I had gotten the idea at LibertyCon and come home and sprint wrote it in a week. Bless Mallory. We spent hours in the car with me pretending to be the character while we were riding down the road, and her just pinballing the ideas with me. Like her helping me just get a feel for the character. And some of it even made it into the story. So I
That's
came
awesome.
home. There's like a week until the deadline. I spent every spare moment just clacking this story out. And I sent it in, but I know how story selection works. And I didn't need to ask Hillbilly. He's not editing it, and the editor is who's going to pick. So we went to dinner just because, he's a mentor and a friend, and I wanted to go to dinner. So we go and we sit down at the diner there in the middle of Atlanta, and he's walking up to the table and he's talking for a minute, and he's meeting my brother for the first time. And it's like, I looked at him. It was just a casual question. I was like, "Hey, who's editing this trailer park?" And I was asking because I wanted to know if I had made it in or not, or if somebody could tell me what was going on. It had been a couple months since the submission. And Hillbilly goes, "Oh, I'm doing that one." And he goes, "You want to do the next one?" And it was just kind of out of nowhere. I had never told the man, like, yeah, I want to be an editor or like whatever. He was just like, "Hey, like, you want to, do you want to do this?" And it was like, well, that wasn't what the hell I was talking about, but yeah, while we're on the subject, sure. Uh, so that eventually turned into It Came from the Trailer Park Double Wide. And Double Wide is called Double Wide because it's not 10,000 word short stories, it's novelettes or novellas, depending on the length, that are at least 20,000. Some of them are closer to 30,000 words. And the stories were pre selected. Hillbilly had already put the call out, snuck all that in. And so he had all the stories there except for mine. And he went in and he checked the notes on the submission, and the notes basically said, "This was a good story." And that was it. So he said, "Hey, take this, double the length of it, and edit everyone else's stories." And I said, "Okay, cool, sure." Um, so that really let me have the extra room to bring Pam, Joe, and Bucky Bob to life. And it gave me
Love it.
my first editing credit. Um, then Bayonet Books was doing the Blasters and Blades podcast. I appeared several times, and they were looking to expand how many anthos they were putting out, and they only had one editor on staff at the time.
Oh wow.
And so JR looks at me after the podcast one night and says, hey, like I just saw that you're editing, that you did it came from the trailer park. Do you want to edit a couple for us? And I said, yeah, that'd be fantastic. What do you want to do? And he said, I don't know. You're the editor. That's on you to figure it out. So that was, at that time, that was right when the whole direwolf thing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then a news article comes out, and the news article comes out and says George R.R. Martin funds direwolf research.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier. I'm a huge dinosaur fanatic.
Right.
So I watched Jurassic Park in theaters at 3 years old.
Oh, gosh.
Because it was dinosaurs, and there was not going to be a blockbuster dinosaur movie that came out, and I didn't get to see it. Like that, my parents knew there's no way, no matter how scary or gory this is, there's no way that we're not going to be able to take Jesse to see the dinosaurs. So they did. So I have been absorbing the underlying lessons of Jurassic Park since 3. Hey, maybe you don't play God. Maybe we just don't do that. Maybe we can, maybe there's better ideas than to try and do that. Then you take the one dude who's the most legendary, I didn't finish my friggin' book series, and have him become real life John Hammond. And fun literally these things that are supposed to be a thing that they're not. It's literally Jurassic Park with real life animals. Like it's Jurassic Park with direwolves instead. Because they can't make real direwolves. They don't have complete direwolf DNA, so they just took wolves and messed with them and made something that looks how we expect direwolves to look. The irony was just too strong, and it was on my mind. So I looked at JR and said, genetic experimentation. How about that? And he went, yeah, cool, let's run it. So we did. So that became Chaos Theory, Biological Bedlam. And that was my first time as like a full editor, being able to pick all the stories, editing every story, getting to pick the subject of the antho. And that was a big learning experience.
Cool.
So, and then we did one more Chaos Theory that was cryptids after that.
Nice. So you've now at this point, in a short amount of time, you've got a few under your belt, so to speak.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So going forward, so what since we don't want to take up too much of your time tonight, but I do want to cover what have you got coming up on your itinerary, both in appearances and or I know obviously we talked a lot about the Kickstarter tonight, and that's front and center. But what do you got going on as far as either releases or anything in the works and appearances coming up? And of course, we know you're going to be with us in July, but everything else, if you'd like to talk about that.
Absolutely. As far as releases are concerned, I just had Chaos Theory Cryptic Chronicles come out. And we had an issue with Amazon that totally nerfed the release. Amazon crashed Bayonet Books' account over some rights transfer kind of stuff.
Oh, God.
Three Ravens had done a JR Presents. That was part of what I was published in. I'm in several of those. I'm in Contested Landing. That's the Drop Troopers I told you about. And then there's one called Cogs and Cutlasses that's steampunk pirates. And Hillbilly decided, hey, we're going to transfer the full publication rights. Instead of having, our agreement's done, the contract's done, you guys fully take over publishing these now. Since there are JR Presents, we've got other stuff working on. We need to slow down a little bit. You guys take these. And they put all the paperwork in. But Amazon's computer didn't care what the paperwork said. It saw a book that was supposed to be under one publisher land under a different publisher.
Oh, boy.
And nuked the entire account 2 days after launch of a new title.
Oh, man.
So
wow.
that totally killed the release for Cryptic Chronicles. There was all the pre-order momentum, everything that all got blown to pieces. So that just came out. I of course have Gravesinger going on right now. After Gravesinger will be The Holy Diver in the Midnight Sea, and that'll be the anthology with everybody I talked about earlier.
Cool.
From there, I'm going to transfer kind of to convention season. I will be a guest at LibertyCon.
Mm-hmm.
I will be a guest at Imaginarium. And then I will be physically present at Dragon. I will not be a guest. I'm just not a big enough name yet for that. And then if there's anything else I can squeeze in between for little appearances, I will. If anybody's really that interested in seeing me, just watch the socials. I'll, if I'm going to be somewhere, I'll let people know. This year has been a big focus on Assassin Inc., which is my publishing imprint, on the Midnight Sea universe, on doing novels instead of doing short stories, because short stories don't really pay the bills. And so that's really what I've really been slowing down on short story releases because of that.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds like, yeah, you're going to be very busy, and certainly speaking for us, we're proud to have you joining us. And,
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
and we're
Hey, and if
glad
you
you're here. You
want,
can help.
hey,
You can.
I got to ask
Oh,
him something.
okay.
If you would like to run a bar con, let me know, because hey, we'll
Yeah.
talk. I would love
Yeah.
for you to run a bar con at
Yeah.
Imaginarium, because you'll see there's a whole bar area there and people
Good
tend to
one.
gather. But
A
hell
good
yeah,
one.
I'm in.
Mhm.
Hillbilly, when he came, he used to do it there, or he'd do it outside the game hall. When the big tables, he'd do a gathering. But a bar
Yeah.
con sounds fun, and I mean they'll move the tables.
Yeah.
You can move the tables and everything
Yeah.
together and make like one long one, or whatever you want to
Yeah.
do. So yeah, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be
Gotcha.
fun.
Yeah,
Sounds
And
I'll
fun.
have to.
well, I'm just happy he's here to help keep that KB Carlisle fellow. Somebody's there to keep an eye on him, make sure it doesn't get too far out of line.
Look,
Yeah,
He's
let me
been,
know.
because we've had KB Carlisle on the loose the last couple of years, but
Mhm.
so we're glad some help's coming.
the
So
only promise I make to keep him semi in line is when we're on panels together. I gotta get a panel schedule together and see when I can afford to try and
yeah,
play the cat wrangler.
yep,
I will be
well
sending
said.
panel surveys out. I didn't get to tell that earlier. I will send panel surveys out sometime this month. Hopefully
Okay.
next week. I ain't going to swear it. I am crunched. I've been working till 1 a.m. every single night. It has been a
Yep,
nightmare.
it's a
And so
crusher right
I'm
now.
trying, guys. I'm trying. I've
Yep,
got last minute adjustments. And yeah, hopefully next week. If not, the week after, but I really want to get them out next week. So be patient with me, because once I start getting them back, I'm not kidding
mm,
you, I time it,
yeah,
because
yeah.
sometimes it's like 2 minutes, bam, I've already got a panel survey back, and they just start flooding in. People like, "Wait," and they eye in for these emails.
Yeah, yeah, we get these ideas of these people like staying up
Bam.
at night and drinking like coffee and just watching their screen, and then that panel survey comes in. Oh, there it is, bang, and then they're done like 14 seconds later. It's fun from the convention end of things. It's something we definitely chuckle about. But yes, but tell us last how folks could find you online to connect with you for the Kickstarter and for everything else.
So the Kickstarter is Gravesinger is probably the easiest search. You can also search my full name, which is Jesse James Fain. My website is outlawauthor.com. When your name is literally Jesse James, the outlaw thing, it writes itself. You have
Yeah,
to. I'm
absolutely.
obligated. Mom and Dad made it happen, and now I gotta see it through whether I want to or not. Not that I don't enjoy it, but it does fit my personality. Um,
Fantastic.
so yeah, outlawauthor.com, that will take you to your social media of choice. I have an X, I have an Instagram, I don't think TikTok's listed on there yet, but I do have a TikTok. That's at
Cool.
Outlaw Author. Um, I've got almost every social. My Facebook is the only one I reserve. That is a personal Facebook.
Mhm.
Everyone is more
Okay.
than welcome to add me, but I have been very chill on the f bombs tonight. I have I've tried to be professional, um,
You certainly
and
have.
I am not that way on my personal page because it's my bloody personal page, and I
Right.
will say what I want. So if you're not
That's
up
the
for,
way I tell. That's what I tell Stephen. He's like, Holly, you got to be careful. Post. I said, I don't give a fuck. I will post it.
Yeah.
When I get riled up, I will post something, and I'm riled up. I said, that's my damn wall. If they don't like it, they can go off. You know,
yep,
that ain't my professional wall. It ain't Imaginarium wall. That's my
yeah,
personal Facebook.
Well, it's like I say, when you
I
start
agree.
a new nation, Holly is not the person you use as a
No,
diplomat or an ambassador.
no.
no.
Definitely not.
I am not a,
And,
a diplomatic person. I am not negotiable. It is this way, and that's the way it shall be.
but that being said, the F bomb is used, a couple times around here. Just two, three, 400 times a
A
day,
day
probably.
Yeah.
So yeah,
by
we
me.
know, we know. No, I no. Hey, I drop a few too. Yeah,
Once in a great while.
that's the great. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Once in
But
a great while.
yes, definitely, I want folks to connect with you, find you, and support this great Kickstarter. Please do this because, yeah, Jesse is, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with all this stuff going forward. And I've had a great time talking with you tonight, and I already know that it's going to be a blast seeing you in person.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. Thank you both so much for having me.
you got it. So I'm going to let Holly
That's
wrap
gonna be
up with
fun.
you, but yeah, it's been our honor to have you on our show for the first time, and hopefully many to come. But yeah, definitely take care.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, get back with me, Jesse. About the BarCon. Talk to old KB in there. I'm sure he'll be along for the ride. And yeah, I'd love to chit chat with you about it and make that happen. And we could get that announced. That would be so much fun. I love the whole idea of the drinking, and you have to talk to people, and it gets the conversations going. And
Yeah,
that's the whole idea. That's what Imaginarium's all about. It's networking, 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 networking.
yeah,
Hmm.
You collab and collaborating. I mean, you meet people that you would have never been in contact with before, and maybe you'll get a hold of a game person and be like, hey, I can help you. I can go along with you and help you do your game, a game designer, whatever. You might have a video game by next year. Who knows?
right.
You just never know, right? Until you sit down and
Yeah.
talk to people.
Or you might find yourself meeting, the man who runs the KB Carlisle agency. Now, that's kind of an inside joke between Jesse, myself, and KB. But yes, but yeah,
Call it KB Outlaw because you've got Jesse James Outlaw. You got
yeah,
Hmm.
the Outlaw Gang. I love it. I
yeah.
love it.
Oh
But
man,
thank you for being such a great guest. And yeah, don't be a stranger. And yeah, get with me. You can add me. It's just my name, Holly Marie Phillippe, on Facebook, or I'll find you. And
Beautiful.
yeah, just give me a message. And that's the best way to get a hold of me is shoot me a message. And
Sounds great.
yeah, we'll talk about Outlaw Gang. He said,
Hmm.
"Did they just give us a name?" Yes, I did, KB. Yes, I did. Um, but yeah, thank you so much, and you have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, y'all too.
All righty, everybody out there in Listerland, join us next Wednesday, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat. Until then, be creative. Good night, all.